Hello and welcome to the Star Business Solutions webinar series for 2021. Today's agenda will include welcome and introductions, token safety highlights, then we'll talk about pre-starts, risk assessment, incident and hazard reporting, take 5 and vehicle inspection and more, followed by a question and answer session. A couple of housekeeping issues to start. We will be recording today's presentation and a link to the recording will be sent to you within 24 hours. Please type in your questions as you go so you don't forget them, and we'll answer them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. Your presenters for today include myself, Norman Hall, Director of Marketing for Star Business Solutions, and Yolandi Kurek, who is the Business Development Manager for TOKN Technology. Yolandi will be doing the heavy lifting today, which is good for me. I'd now like to pass it over to Yolandi to start the presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Norman, for the introduction, and welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us today. So today we're going to be going through our TOKN Field Safety Suite. And for those of you who haven't seen my face or haven't heard of TOKN before, my name's Yolandi. I work for TOKN Technology in the Sales and Marketing Division. And TOKN is essentially a platform that develops mobile applications for different types of industries. So today we're going to be specifically honing in on our Field Safety Suite. So to kick off, just to give you a background on what TOKN Field Safe is and I guess how it came about. So there's been a lot of chatter across multiple industries at the moment with safety compliance, and a lot of legislation has come in place for different types of businesses to ensure that they've got a digital record of all of their safety interactions and procedures. Particularly this is on the different types of sites where there is quite a high risk of injury, and that includes obviously your mining and construction type sites. So there is quite a few different safety applications that we've put in as part of our TOKN Field Safe Safety Suite. So as you can see here on the left, we've got our risk assessment, job hazard analysis, hazard and incident report, take 5, vehicle inspection, pre-start assessment, and more. So those come in as a standard part of our Field Safe Safety Suite, but you can sort of add more and customize your suite to suit your individual business. So I'll take you through some of these individually, just so you can get a bit of an understanding of what they're all about and why they're important. So first one up is the pre-start assessment. So on a lot of job sites, as you probably already know, there's a pre-start assessment that takes place, and it's usually a checklist to ensure that safe work can go ahead. So we've come up with a TOKN pre-start assessment application. It is highly customizable, so you can customize your checklist to make sure that it does suit your specific work requirements. You can use the app to actually check into a pre-start meeting. So that just means if all people come in on site, you want to be able to check that they're all on site and have a record of who is actually there. You can add and save site information, so what location they're physically at, and you can use the GPS to do that on each device. And this information will be available next time somebody wants to use the application. And your pre-start report, once you've generated it and everybody's sort of filled in their pre-start or checked in, a report is actually automatically generated with view and share options at the end of completion. As you can see on the right, we've got a couple of different images here of what sort of information we tend to capture. So, obviously you want to know who the supervisor is on site, what date the pre-start is being submitted, obviously, in time, which site they're working on, what company they work for. We can pull in a job number here, so these can be integrated into your ERP system. So if there's a specific job that people are working on, we can pull through a job number here, or we can get them to manually add a job number. Then we can choose to add team members here manually, and you can also get the supervisor there to actually sign off to say they acknowledge that a pre-start assessment has taken place. So that's your pre-start meeting. I've got a risk assessment. So this one's quite popular. So obviously being able to assess what type of risks are on each job site, and just ensure that your employees are aware of that and how basically to handle that. So this app will allow you to load any of your existing safety control documents, such as SWIMs. So obviously once you've identified a risk, you want to be able to present the worker with a safe work method statement to ensure that they're completing and putting in control in place. It'll give you the ability to look up any common hazards and any PPE to reduce the risk levels, so give recommendation there. You're able to add and save site information again here, including the location. We can access the GPS on the device, so that will allow us to get the location there. And this information will be saved again and be used for the next time somebody opens the app. We also here generate a report. So a risk assessment report will be automatically generated. You can view and share that. You can also access the data within our TOKN console. And then you've also got an email function there. Again, like all of these safety apps, these are highly customizable to suit your business process. So we can actually customize each of these individual sort of lines here if you wish. Then we've got incident and hazard reporting, so quite a popular one here as well. So this is a two-in-one kind of application. So this is where somebody can report an incident that's occurred on site or identify any hazards that are on site. So on the right here, you can see we've got a couple of images there of what that might look like, of hazards and incidents that have been recorded. So you're able to take and insert images here. So if an incident has occurred, there's no better record than an actual photograph of what's happened, especially if there's an injury involved or anything like that. You've also got a little pop-up window where you'll be able to mark the location of injuries within the incident assessment. It'll basically bring up a picture of a person. You can circle knee or arm or wherever it might be. So we've got a good indication of where an injury might have occurred. We've also got the send to email function. So again, you can send this information straight from the app to either a supervisor or somebody that needs to be aware of what's happened. You've also got the ability here to edit and review assessments. So if you've got an administrator or say a supervisor on site that might need to add additional information into an incident report, they'll have the ability to go in and edit and add that information. And we can actually easily, again, customize the questions here. So depending on what you would like to add in there as part of your incident report, whatever's compliant for your business and industry, we can essentially add those questions in for you to make sure that you've got a compliant safety record there as well. Okay. Then we've got our Take 5. So a very nice, simple Take 5, but very popular, particularly on mine sites. We know that these are done at the beginning of every single shift. Historically, these were all done on paper. So lots of guys used to have probably about 5 bits of paper at the end of every week sort of floating around. But now you're able to do this on a mobile application. So you can customize the Take 5 questions to suit your specific workplace requirements, as previously mentioned on the other applications. If you have a look over here on the right, you'll be able to see some of the stuff that we sort of add into a Take 5. So usually it's just, what date are you conducting it? What site are you on? What business unit? Just describe the task. Then you've got on the right here, to step back and have a think and, do I understand what I need to do? And can I, have I got the correct PPE to perform my task, etc. And then it goes on to ask if I can, see any hazards, and then goes into tell me to enter in any controls that I might want to put into place. So very simple sort of Take 5. But you've also got the ability here. I know with some sites they still have a paper form, so you might have a contractor working on a site where a paper form is still happening. And if you would like to still have a record, of their Take 5 digitally, we've got a capture, so you can essentially take a picture of the site Take 5, and at least we've got a record of that if they're working across multiple sites. You can add and save the current site information, as I mentioned. It can prompt you to submit a hazard report. So as you're going through and answering questions, it will ask you the question, have you thought about submitting a hazard report here if there is a clearly identifiable hazard on site? And at the end of the process, a Take 5 PDF is automatically generated and it's available from the token console. So you'll be able to access that information as and when needed as well. Vehicle inspection. So quite a popular one, and this has come about mostly in the mining industry where guys are sort of jumping in and out of vehicles that aren't theirs, obviously, that they're using to get to and from a site or between sites. And they're now all encouraged to essentially inspect a vehicle to make sure there aren't any very visible faults with the vehicle to reduce the risk of injury here as well. So you can create your own checklists here. We've got a standard set of questions that we ask, but you can choose to customize what questions you'd like to ask the guys before they jump into a vehicle. The app will automatically load all of your vehicle information, including the VIN number, vehicle model, etc. So we can have that happen there. Corrective actions to specific faults can be easily added into the app, so your workers know what to do if there is an issue identified with the vehicle. And all the completed inspections will automatically generate and email a vehicle inspection report to the user. So we've got a digital record there as well. So you can see a couple of images over here on the right of what the vehicle inspection might look like. So you basically will click on create an inspection record, and then it's just going to go through and say general visual inspection. Is it okay? Yep, it's okay. Is it, cleanliness? What about the tire inflation, etc.? And then it basically gives you the ability to go and say what level of fault there is, if it's minor, requires reporting, or if it's a lockout and you can't use the vehicle. So essentially just goes through there and ensures the guys are actually assessing risk of any faults on the vehicle prior to actually getting in and driving the car. So quite a popular one, particularly on mine sites as well. So that's just a sort of high level of some of the applications that we've got. Obviously, there's quite a suite of safety applications we've got and that we've built over time working with different clients. We've got two kind of versions of all of these apps. We've got a sort of download and play version, so you can get a very standard basic version that's not customizable, and you can just basically download that and have that immediately on your phone. Otherwise, you've got the ability to create something custom and bespoke. So TOKN being a platform technology that develops applications, we can give you the option to do both. So you can come to us for a custom safety suite of applications or just our standard templates that we've got sitting there at the moment. So these are all delivered in one package. So as you can see here on the right, I've got this is a picture sort of our demo system here. And you can see I've got all of my different safety little applets that sit within one application. So the beauty of this is that if you do have 5 or 6 different safety apps that you need for your teams, they'll still be accessing it all through one application. And basically they can log in and they'll have all of their safety forms and apps available for them under the one application. This can be custom branded to your business. So again, being a platform technology that develops applications, we don't need to have the TOKN branding, and we generally don't have the TOKN branding on any of our safety apps that we deliver to our clients. So you'll just need to let us know about what exactly, or give us a copy of your brand book, and we can essentially make it look and feel like your business with your colours, your logos, etc. So your staff know that they're interacting with you as a business, and it's your application. So TOKN FieldSafe, is quite a great solution to have on board for a number of different reasons. One, you've got real-time visibility on your safety records. So this is super important. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of chatter around compliance and making sure business are safety compliant, to make sure that they've got digital records of all of their safety procedures available to them. So we will store all of this information for you so you can access it at any time. It's always recorded, and there's no bits of paper sort of flying around so things don't get lost. There's no duplication, so we're not asking for any additional data entry here. We can integrate this into an ERP or other system if need be. So if there's some information that we can essentially pre-populate from one of your other systems, we can, being a platform technology, integrate into that system and pre-populate information into this safety forms for you to also make it a lot easier for your workers out in the field to use the application. It does have offline capability, so if you have workers who are remote working in areas where there is patchy or little to no reception, we've got the ability to be able to have them translate offline. So essentially what will happen is the very first time they download the TOKN application, we'll store what we call metadata, which is basically the basic data the app needs to function onto their phone. So that just means if they're outside of reception, they can still complete their Take 5 and submit it. And essentially, once they get into an area that does have mobile reception or Wi-Fi, it will essentially sync that record back through our TOKN platform and save that record safely for you. So you can ensure nothing's lost there, and the guys don't have to really worry about whether or not they've got connection when they're going and completing each of their safety records. And again, we are highly customizable. So we do have those two versions that you can get. So we've got our standard version, which is a lock and load, comes in as a standard version of our field applications. And then you've got the ability to customize those as well. So we can quote you for both. You just kind of have to let us know what's best suited to you, and obviously will vary depending on whether we need to integrate into one or many systems and that kind of thing. So that's an overview of TOKN Field Safe. I hope that was helpful to all of you. We do have, as I mentioned, quite a long list of safety applications that you can get. I've really just pointed out and highlighted sort of 4 or 5 that are quite popular, just to give you a taste of the look and feel and the kind of features that we have across those applications.
Okay, thanks, Yolandi.
Thank you.
Just before we wrap it up, we've got a couple of questions for today's presentation. I think you've covered most of them in your demonstration anyway, but
Yep.
Paul's asked, how can he integrate these forms into their business software?
So yeah, great question. Thanks, Paul. So we, TOKN, as I mentioned a bit earlier, is a platform technology. So part of what we do, or the majority of what we actually do, is integrate into back-end systems and then basically are able to use the data to create applications and then deploy them quickly to mobile and desktop applications. So we can integrate into most systems provided we have an open connection. So that usually happens through what we call an API. I know in this case, a lot of you guys are probably using MYOB Greentree or MYOB Advanced. We absolutely integrate into both of those systems frequently. So those are nice, easy ones for us, but we do have integration into many other systems through our integration platform.
Okay, thanks, Yolandi. Karen's asked, where's the data stored?
Okay, so our data center is in Sydney. So we work on AWS cloud service. So we store all of our data through AWS, and it is stored locally in Australia in our Sydney data warehouse. Now, the other bit of data which you might be referring to here, I'm not sure, would be maybe the data that you're accessing, if you wanted to retrieve a record of a safety form that's been submitted. So that would all be housed in our TOKN console. So what we didn't show you here today was the back end of what our TOKN console looks like. So the console is essentially just an administration area. It's where you can go in and customize your users and customize and access, your data. So we'll have little data widgets where you'll be able to click into, say, your Take 5 widget, and in there you'll be able to access all of your records for each and every form that's been submitted. We can also have the data exported. So if you want to dump it into a Excel spreadsheet for any reason, you've got the option to do that. If you want to download a PDF, you've got a PDF on demand button that you can hit, and it will essentially download a PDF of any of the forms that have been submitted as well.
Okay, thanks. I've got 2 questions here from Sudesh. If anyone's got more questions, please type them into the comments section. So the first one I've got from Sudesh is, how much can we customize on each of the apps?
Yep. So, I mean, we've got the ability to customize. It's mostly just the questions that are asked and the controls that we put in a lot of these safety apps. So for the most part, the flow is kind of kept the same, right? So the first screen is, enter site information and a date, timestamp, etc. So we try to keep the flow the same. In that would be your information page, then your questions, then your controls, and then submit as a general flow across a lot of these safety apps. But we can customize the data that we input there. So in the first screen, it might be, in some cases they might want to enter site information. That might not be relevant for some people because they're always on the same site. We can essentially just get rid of that box. We might be asking questions about different hazards that might be present, and the list of hazards are obviously going to change industry to industry and site to site, so we can customize that as well. So for all intents and purposes, it is really highly customizable, but we try to keep the workflow the same just because we find that is user-friendly, but certainly something that you can get in touch with us about, Sebastian. We can talk through that as an option.
Okay, and his second question was, we've got other safety forms that we have to complete. Are there any others, or do they have to be created? Or can you modify the current ones?
Yeah, so we've got obviously a list of ones that we find to be quite standard across a number of industries that we've worked within. However, we can create new forms. So if you've got a very specific safety procedure that is handled in your specific industry only, and that's not on our list, we can absolutely build something for you. As I mentioned earlier, the beauty of TOKN is that we're not just a company that serves mobile applications that are already kind of locked and loaded. We are a platform technology, so that allows you to build what you want and customize the look and feel of that to suit your business as well. So yeah, definitely get in touch with any specific safety requirements that you've got. And it might be an amalgamation of 2 or 3 different apps. So we've had inquiries before where people want to, combine their Take 5, with another safety form and make that into one sort of application, kind of similar to our site diary, and they've called it that exactly. So we can customize things to suit your business process and combine forms if need be to suit your business process as well.
Okay, thanks, Yolandi. There's no more questions at the moment. I'll give everyone a couple of seconds to type something in if they're interested. Otherwise, we'll have to wrap things up. So anyone else? Anyone? I'm sounding like a TV show saying, anyone? No? Looks like that's the last of the questions for today. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you to Yolandi for doing the heavy lifting in today's presentation. If you do have any questions, please feel free to send them to myself, or if you'd like to give us a call, please feel free to do so, and we'll get back to you in due course. So once again, thank you, and hopefully we'll see you at STAR's next presentation.